The T-45C has three navigation system sources. TACAN provides distance and bearing information to surface TACAN stations. VORILS provides bearing information to ground VOR stations, and ILS localizer and glide slope information. GINA allows INS GPS navigation independent of ground stations. For this training mission, we will focus on GINA navigation. As implemented for DCS, the details of INS alignment and GPS predefined waypoints have been omitted. Instead, you will employ waypoints that have been defined on the DCS mission editor. However, we will learn later how to manually enter additional waypoints once seated on the aircraft. Press spacebar to begin the training. We have unpaused the mission, use trim to level the aircraft and increase throttle to maintain a speed of 300 knots. We will fly at a low altitude of 3,000 feet to better appreciate the terrain. The picture shows the flight route that we will use for this mission, with 6 waypoints. We have started the mission already on the air, at waypoint 0. We will use the HSI page of the right MFD to interact with the navigation system. It should be already selected, if not then press menu followed by HSI. Next, select the waypoint option. This enables the GINA waypoint navigation mode of the T-45C, it will be boxed when selected. TCN would enable TACAN navigation instead, and we will learn it on another training mission. VOR and ILS navigation are selected using their panel consoles. GINA allows INS GPS navigation, but its initialization and alignment process is not currently simulated. On the real aircraft, GINA has 4 operational modes: hybrid, INS, GPS, or directional gyro. As simulated, GINA operates only on hybrid mode, which cannot be changed by the pilot, and it's the most accurate of the 4 modes. We can confirm GINA's current mode, hybrid, by checking the top of the ADI page, on the left multifunction display. Press spacebar to continue. Currently, waypoint 0 is selected, which corresponds to our starting location. The small circle under our own ship marker shows the waypoint 0 position. The arrow that passes through it is called planimetric course arrow and allows you to arrive at a waypoint flying on a given course. Press the button next to the CRS option. This will remove the course arrow as we will not be using it for now. Good, now use the waypoint selection buttons to select waypoint 1, which is the next waypoint in our route. Note that the bearing, distance in nautical miles, and estimated time of arrival if we maintain our current speed, are shown on the top right corner of the HSI page. Use the scale button, SCL, to select a display range of 40 nautical miles, so we can better see the waypoint in relation to our position. Once again, click on the waypoint selection buttons to inspect the remaining waypoints of our route. Note that beyond waypoint 5 the small circle that denotes the waypoint disappears, as the route we have defined on the mission editor has only waypoint 0 through 5. Once you have finished reviewing the route, be sure to leave waypoint 1 selected and then press spacebar to continue. There are several MFD subpages related to waypoint navigation. Let's look at each. The data page. You reach this page by clicking on Data. Try it now. The data page allows manual editing of existing waypoint coordinates, but the creation of new waypoints is not implemented. This display presents waypoint number and name if defined on the mission editor, latitude, longitude, elevation, and magnetic variation for the selected waypoint. Select the desired waypoint, clicking on the highlighted arrows until the desired waypoint number is displayed. As an exercise, select waypoint 5. We will edit the coordinates of this waypoint to point to a different geographical location. We will employ the DCS map to get the latitude and longitude on the location. Press F10 to open the map, and press spacebar once it is open. There are several ways to get coordinates from the F10 map, but the easiest is to use the F10 map coordinates picker, as follows. Zoom the map with the mouse wheel and use the left mouse button to drag the map around, until you can see the north part of Saipan Island. Once you have the desired location clearly visible, place the mouse pointer over it and press left Alt, and simultaneously make a left click. A small blue circle will appear at the mouse location, together with a window displaying the coordinates in several different formats. The T-45C navigation computer employs the decimal minutes format, highlighted on the figure at left. Now press F1 to return to cockpit view, and then press spacebar. Note that the coordinates window will still be open, so we can easily refer to it while we enter their values on the data entry panel. Unfortunately, we can't drag it on the screen to place it nearer to the DEP. Press spacebar to continue the training. Now that we have the coordinates of the location we want, we will edit waypoint 5 with these new coordinates. First, select LAT to edit its latitude. LAT gets boxed and a scratch pad appears, where we will input the latitude using the data entry panel. Latitude direction, north or south, must be entered first, so click on 2N. Now enter the degrees, 15. The input format is quite rigid, and you would need a leading 0 if the value were less than 10. If you mistype a value, press the clear key on the data entry panel to start over. Follow with the minutes, 17. Note the scratch pad will have decimal points displayed in the appropriate positions prior to entry. Finally, enter the first 2 decimal digits of the minutes, say 39, and finish the entry by pressing enter on the entry panel. If the data is valid, the waypoint is stored in the aircraft computer, the scratch pad disappears, and the latitude is updated on the data display. If the data is not valid, press clear, CLR, and retry the process. Press spacebar once the latitude has been successfully entered. In the same way as we did with the latitude, select long to edit the waypoint's longitude. Long gets boxed and the scratch pad appears again, to input the longitude using the data entry panel. Remember that the longitude direction, east or west, must be entered first, so click on 6E. Now enter the degrees, 145. We would need leading zeros if the value had less than 3 digits. Remember to employ the clear key on the data entry panel, to start over if you mistype a value. Follow with the minutes, 48. Finally, enter the first 2 decimal digits of the minutes, say 64, and finish the entry by pressing ENT on the data entry panel. If the data is valid, the waypoint is stored, the scratch pad disappears, and the longitude is updated on the data display. If the data is not valid, press CLR and retry the process. Press spacebar once the longitude has been successfully entered. You can get rid of the coordinates window by clicking its OK button. For this waypoint, we do not need to edit its elevation or its magnetic variation. We will navigate towards this edited waypoint later, and note that the mission map displayed on the DCS board is not updated to reflect this coordinate change. We will learn about the employment of offset waypoints once we start with the weapons training. Press spacebar to continue. To the navigation computer, each waypoint is just a geographic location and you can fly between them in any order you need. Say you can go straight from waypoint 1 to waypoint 3. However, it is possible to explicitly define the order on which the waypoints should be flown. This is called sequential waypoint programming, and we will program a sequence now to see how it's done. First, select SEQ DEP. The prior waypoint sequence string, if any, will be blanked and a scratch pad will be shown. The waypoints are then entered by pressing the appropriate number on the data entry panel for the associated waypoint and then pressing its enter button. For example, enter a 1 for waypoint 1, followed by enter, do it now. The waypoint number is inserted into the string and appears on the bottom of the waypoint data display. Continue by pressing 2 and then enter on the entry panel. You can see that the string starts to take form, telling the system that the first waypoint in the sequence is 1, and then the next is 2. Continue in the same way, until the string reads 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Good, now finish entering the sequence by selecting SEQ DEP once again. The scratch pad will disappear, and the option will be unboxed, but the waypoint sequence string is still shown on the bottom of the display. Press spacebar to continue the training. Let's now continue our review of the navigation pages. Select GPS. The GPS page allows you to access a library of GPS waypoints and transfer any of them onto our navigation waypoints. The aircraft's computer can have up to 200 International Civil Aviation Organization (ICAO) waypoints stored on its memory, but only 15 can appear on the display at a time, displayed in 3 columns of 5 waypoints. If the desired waypoint is not currently displayed, use the GPS waypoint page increment or decrement options to access the desired page. Once the desired page is selected, you can use the GPS waypoint select options, down or right arrows, to move the selection box to the desired waypoint. The data of the selected GPS waypoint appears in the lower left column of the display, while the lower right column shows the current navigation waypoint data of our flight plan. Press spacebar to continue. On the modern Marianas map, DCS provides the GPS waypoints listed below that you could use. As practice, use the GPS waypoint select arrows to move the selection box over the PGSN waypoint, which corresponds to the Saipan International Airport in Saipan Island. Now, we will transfer this GPS waypoint coordinates onto waypoint number 4 of our flight plan. Use the waypoint selection buttons to select waypoint 4. Good. Now you can select XFARE to transfer the Saipan International GPS waypoint coordinates onto our waypoint number 4. To verify successful transfer of the GPS waypoint, compare the GPS waypoint data with the selected waypoint data. They should read the same and the proper ICAO identifier should be displayed beside the waypoint number. The ICAO identifier will also be displayed below the waypoint data block on the HSI when a GPS waypoint is selected. Press spacebar to continue. Next, we will review the last of the navigation pages. Select Aircraft, ACFT. This page presents barometric pressure setting, aircraft present position, magnetic variation, UTC time and date, heading, ground speed, true direction and speed of winds, GPS alignment information, and the number of satellites being tracked by the GPS. Once you have reviewed the page information, select WYPT to return to the waypoint data page. When doing waypoint navigation, you don't need to keep watching the HSI, because the same information is displayed on the HUD, as shown on the picture. If the waypoint isn't shown on the HUD, probably you have inadvertently changed the HUD mode into air-to-air or air-to-ground modes. In that case, use the mode button of the data entry panel to select navigation mode, to have the time and distance to the selected waypoint shown. Make sure to select waypoint 1 on the HSI. The HUD should show W01 and the distance to it in nautical miles. An estimated time of arrival should also be shown. To navigate towards the selected waypoint, all you need to do is turn the aircraft towards the waypoint bearing, which is represented by a vertical bar on the heading tape. The tilde symbol represents the current heading of the aircraft. When it's placed over the vertical bar symbol, the aircraft heads towards the selected waypoint. Press spacebar to continue the training. We have unpaused the mission. Fly towards waypoint 1. You can fly lower if you want, but try to keep the airspeed to around 300 knots. You have reached waypoint 1. Turn right towards waypoint 2, but you need to manually change the selected waypoint on the HSI, as automatic waypoint advance is not yet simulated. Note that the vertical bar symbol on the heading tape is commanding you to turn left, but it's really a simulation bug. Looking at the route on the HSI, you can see that the shorter turn towards waypoint 2 is actually to the right, not left. You have reached waypoint 2. Turn left towards waypoint 3. Remember to manually change the selected waypoint on the HSI, as it will not advance automatically. You have reached waypoint 3. Turn right towards waypoint 4. Remember to manually change the selected waypoint on the HSI. You may note that waypoint 4 isn't on its original location, indicated on the kneeboard's map, as we changed it to point at Saipan International Airport GPS waypoint. You have reached waypoint 4. Turn left towards waypoint 5. Again, waypoint 5 isn't on its original location, indicated on the kneeboard's map, as we changed its coordinates to point to Saipan's northern tip. You have reached the last waypoint of your route. Congratulations, you have successfully finished this waypoint navigation training mission. Press spacebar to exit.